So, oh, well, hold on. Almost messed this up myself. I'm sorry about that. All right, so cool. So, like, you got started, like you said, out of school.
Yeah, I was going to school to fix airplanes, and at 18, I found out I was having a kid. So, I grew up without a dad. One thing I always said is I want to take care of, my kids. Work my ass off, take care of my kids. So,
Mm-hmm.
I got into car sales, and I'm not gonna lie, it was tough for me because at first, that's all I knew growing up. I wanted to be an airplane mechanic. I wanted to fly. My dad was a pilot. Like that's all I knew. My dad lived in Switzerland, but I knew, the family, and so I was like, that's all I knew, like the direction. So it was a little rough for me, but after 3 months, and it's a very common story you hear with people when they get into the car business. Is once they get a couple of checks and you see the kind of income that you can make in the car business, they're like, wow, okay. But then the problem is you start making some money and you start spending it, and then you don't know how to be consistent in what you do.
Makes sense.
With
Makes
me,
sense.
my daughter was born 3 months later, so that money was spent, but it was spent on diapers, and so I had to work, I had to hustle, I had to grind. I worked in car sales for about 18 months, and then I'm kind of a person that I'm like, all right, I need that next step. What's that goal? Give me a direction. Give me something to work towards. And not a lot of people are like that. A lot of people they either won't say where they want to go or what they want to do, or they'll wait for an advancement, or they'll wait for
Opportunity.
an opportunity to come on their lap. Well, I'm not that person. I make it very clear anywhere I go. I've got a 5-year plan. My next 5 years, this is what I want to be. This is what I want to do. So 18 months went by. But honestly, about a year went in, I was already telling my managers, like, I want that. I want finance. I want to get into finance. I want that office up there. And I was young, so I was young and dumb. So I was, they still know I was a little immature, at certain things. But
You still had to drive though, and I feel like it's the drive that people have that makes it so that they are able to, push beyond, the opinions of other people looking and saying, well, this guy's too young for this. And then also I think that it's the opposite of that too, whereas though people think themselves they're too young for this, so they don't even try.
Sure.
Or, they say, oh, well, they're too old to even do this, so they don't even try.
Yep.
And it sounds
both sides of that. Yep.
Yeah, it sounds like you didn't allow any of that to get in your way though.
No, I mean, someone gave me an opportunity, and they gave me an opportunity at 18, and you don't see a lot of 18-year-olds go into the car business for things that you just said. Somebody did, he's too young, he doesn't have drive, he doesn't have bills, he doesn't have anything to work towards, or some people just think, oh, well, that's an older person's job, whatever. Or they think that, oh, I need to go to school, I need to go get my education, I need to go do this, and that's not a bad thing. I want my kids. I've got 5 kids now. I want my kids to go to school. I want them to go to college. I want them to get that opportunity. But at the end of the day, I know it's not for everybody, and you don't necessarily need to be successful.
Or to go to school to be successful.
Exactly. So, but I said, look, I want that next opportunity. So my boss, I grew up with a really good mentor in the business, and he and I worked together for about 11 years total. And he sat me down. He said, Jose, you'd be great at this, you'd be great at this, you'd be great at this. But he also told me, but you do this, you do this, you do this, and you do this. He said, I'm going to give you 6 months, and I want to see what you can do. And he allowed me those 6 months, and in those 6 months, I saw people come and go out of those offices. People get hired, fired, whatnot. And each time something happened, I was like, oh, I'm going to get my shot. And then it didn't happen. I said, all right, well, am I doing everything that I was told that I needed to do? Am I stepping up in the areas that I was lacking in? And I eventually got my shot.
What do you think changed though, from the point where you weren't getting a shot, you were trying? I don't know how many times you tried, but you tried, and do you feel like the timing was more perfect, or was it less perfect, would you say?
Every single time I saw someone else get put into that position before me, it made me hungrier, and it made me want that position more.
Okay.
It got me to the point where I was already learning the job without being on the job. All right, what does a finance manager do? What insurances are they selling? How can I do that already as a sales consultant. And so I got to the point where, my customers would go into the business office and they already wanted to know about extended warranties, prepaid maintenance, or wheel and tire packages and things like that.
Okay.
And so it made not just my general sales manager, but now my finance director, like, hey, we got to give this guy a shot. He's already, his percentages of his clients coming in and already asking for this is a big number. So, and timing is everything. And was I ready at 19 years old? No.
Okay.
But at almost 20, was I still ready? I mean, I was still young, right? I was still making mistakes, but I did that for 6 years.
Okay.
I did it for 6 years. I got really good at doing that. But then I was like, all right, what's my next step? And I remember my girlfriend at the time. She said, Jose, wake up! You're settling deals in your sleep. And what settling deals is, that business is very repetitive. You're sign this document, going over extended warranties. It's very repetitive. You do a lot.
So
of
you were talking in
stuff.
your sleep as if you were doing.
Exactly. So
Being in sales myself, door-to-door sales, it's been times where I was dreaming that I was working.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact that I was just, talking in my sleep, closing somebody. Because like you say, when you practice it over and over again, it becomes part of what you do.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a good thing though, right? Because I feel like if you're dreaming about work, then work ain't too bad. Work ain't too bad. Usually that's a nightmare for people, but I would wake up laughing at the idea that I was actually working and I was pitching people, a product or something like that. And I was doing door-to-door sales, so that's very competitive, and that's very just doing the same thing over and over again.
Now, I enjoy car sales. I enjoy, obviously there's bad days and good days, but I enjoy walking into a dealership and, it's something new every day. You got new people, you got people buying their first car, you got people buying their last car, because you hear it as well. It's the last car I'm ever going to buy for myself. You got people that are buying cars for graduation gifts, and people buying cars because of need, people buying cars because of just just a want or support. So there's so many different reasons, it's one of those things where it's hard to say what it is, but selling a car, like that first car deal that I ever made, and I remember it to the T. It's like a high that you're always chasing.
Yeah.
It's a good high. It's that. Man.
I remember my first sale that I closed by myself.
Yeah.
It's funny, but before you go, because I know I wish we had more time, but before you go, I do want to ask you, how important, as a franchise owner, how important is it for the integrity aspect of your sales guys? Meaning, I went for years without a car because I did not have a salesman that I wanted to deal with. Then when I finally got my Lexus, my other car, my Lexus, I got somebody that was very professional, didn't try to run the price up on me. He actually lowered the price for me, lower than the listed price that was there.
Yep.
And I felt like the experience that I got from him was perfect, but I felt like that was like a diamond in the rough. So how important is the integrity aspect of just car sales for you? Because it could be hard for some people.
So to me, it's huge. I mean, I think we know car salesmen have a bad stigma, right? But that's just not the way I operate. Now, to some dealers, they're all about the bottom line. To me, I'm about the repeat and the referral business.
Okay.
So, good example, through COVID, people were selling cars 5,000, 10,000 over MSRP. Not a single car left my dealership over MSRP. Okay? Because I want the relationship. That stuff is short term. People remember these things. They remember.
The experience they get.
Our company motto is deliver a memorable experience. So are we doing that? And I asked my team that. Are we doing that in every aspect that we do, in everything that we do? How can we make the experience a more memorable one for our customers? Do we make mistakes? Absolutely.
Okay.
Are we perfect? No, by no means. But can we learn from them? And when I look at things like my retention, people coming back to my store, one of my stores in Woodbridge was the #1 accurate store for client retention in 2018. And I'm like 2 or 3 right now, and it bugs the hell out of me. But it's still, it's a benchmark for me. That means my customers are coming back because they like the experience, they like the way that they were treated. And you look on my Google reviews, my social media reviews, they're top tier anywhere you look. But that's just how I operate. I sleep good at night knowing that I'm not getting over on somebody. You do things the right way, and it doesn't have to be about money. Do things the right way, make the right decision.
We had a motto: be the best part of everyone's day.
There you go.
And at the end of the day, if I'm working in a neighborhood and I have somebody that I trained go back to that same neighborhood, I want them to run into people who did not sign up with me, who did not buy from me, that will buy from the people that I trained. But
That's right.
if I do treat that neighborhood in a bad way, then they might treat the next person that comes there in a bad way. So
Yep.
I feel like you're right about the customer experience. Did you want to name the name of your dealership?
Sure.
Yeah.
Karen Radley Acura and Volkswagen in Woodbridge, Virginia, and Radley Acura in Falls Church, Virginia.
That's wonderful. Well, hopefully, people will be able to go there and get an actual good customer experience and not feel like they got bamboozled or swindled by, a car dealer, and they'll get you more repeat business and everything like that. It was really great talking with you. I appreciate
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you very much.
All right. You have a good one.
You too.
Mm-hmm.